Hello, everyone. This is Twyla, your host of Divorce Talk with Twyla, broadcasting live each week on Mondays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time from Fishbowl Radio Network Studios, right here at Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas. Log on to hear candid and transparent conversations with some amazing dynamic guests as it relates to divorce topics. We're going to talk about co-parenting, dating after divorce, remarrying after divorce, and much more. So be sure to log on each week on Mondays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time to catch Divorce Talk with Twyla
on FishbowlRadioNetwork.com. Jump in.
Kenton, how are you?
What's going on, Miss Twyla Marks? How we feeling today?
How are you? I'm awesome. I'm glad you joined me. And yes. Oh, my goodness. So we are here talking. I'm answering questions from several of the viewers, right? And what I want you to do from a perspective of ministry, what type of conversations of couples, I guess married couples, that you've counseled during your time, and some of the things that you come across. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Pastor Kenton D. Wiley, a.k.a. Pastor K, my friend. Let's go.
Well, I think when it comes to marriage, and even when it comes to couples who are getting ready to get married, or they're just in that courting or dating phase, if you will, the biggest issue or the struggle I see is no one knows how to properly communicate with each other. I think most marriages fail, in my opinion, is because no one opened up a line of communication, because we spend so much time worrying about how they look, how they smell, what they drive, where they live, what kind of job they got, and then you get married or you get in these relationships and you realize, you know what, he doesn't even know how to talk to me as a woman, or she doesn't even know how to talk to me as a man, and then there's no communication, and then that's where the breakdown and the fallouts begin to happen.
Yeah, that's so true. Communication is key, Pastor K. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you missed that, I'm talking to Pastor Kenton D. Wiley, my friend, a.k.a. Pastor K. He is the pastor of NAC. That stands for Never Alone Christian Center there in Baltimore, Maryland. And he's talking from a perspective of married couples. I know this is Divorce Talk with Twyla, but I don't want everyone to feel like I just say divorce is the end-all, be-all. It's not. Sometimes you can reconcile, and so I wanted to hear his perspective, and I want you also to hear his perspective as it relates to counseling, because I truly believe that when marriages go through trying, difficult times, there's counseling that needs to be introduced or involved, not only from a spiritual perspective, but from a professional perspective in tandem, right? Kenton, wouldn't you agree with that?
I absolutely agree. I think the old school way of thinking, if you will, and I use that term old school lightly, that, you stay married forever no matter what, that mindset has passed. People are getting divorced and separated at astronomical rates. And, from a spiritual perspective, a lot of these divorce and separations that are happening, I believe have just cause of divorce. I would never recommend a wife or a woman to stay with a man, or vice versa, if there's constant cheating, constant verbal abuse or physical abuse, poor financial mismanagement, unwillingness to try counseling. I don't think it's God's desire that we stay miserable. And it's unfortunate that I deal with so many people who were raised under that mindset of, well, girl, that's your man and he's taking care of things. You just got to ride it out. No, you don't got to ride it out. God does not want you to be miserable. That is not an excuse for divorce or separation. But what I'm saying is, don't let your faith be a reason that you stay miserable and then blame God, because that is not his best.
Amen. Oh my gosh. Did y'all hear that? Don't let your faith, make you stay miserable and then blame God. That is so true. That is so true. So, Kenton, that actually is a segue into my next question. I want you to stay on the line with me because I had a listener to ask this question. How do you move on and don't get in the cycle of repeatedly going back and staying because that's easier? So I'm going to say, wow. I believe that's so common, ladies and gentlemen. That's a very common reason that people stay, because it's just easy. Some people may say, oh, I need to stay for the kids. Men may say it's cheaper to keep her. Women may say, oh, we've been together this long, I'll just stay to prevent embarrassment. All of these are real reasons people get stuck in this revolving door cycle. But I truly believe that the signs are on the wall when it's a toxic relationship. And I'm an advocate of counseling professional as well as spiritual counseling, which we've already discussed. But however, after those are exhausted and it still doesn't seem like the right one, then it may be time just to cut ties regardless of the kids or any other reason, right? It may just be easier to stay, but certainly I believe it's not healthy to stay. So remember this, ladies and gentlemen, if it's costing you peace and happiness, it may be time to make that hard decision to move on and walk through the door that the revolving mechanism is broke, meaning once you leave this time, that same door doesn't open again. My God, the person that sent me that question, Kenton, it was like, wow. I felt their passion based on the question they asked me, because so many men and women, I'm not going to just label it or be exclusive to just women, they find themselves stuck in that pattern. So you think it may be because of some financial stability, or they're afraid, what is it going to look like to walk out of that marriage by themselves because they've been with this person for X number of years? What are your thoughts on that?
I think all of those reasons that you mentioned, I would believe, in my experience, being in ministry for 20 plus years, are some of the most common reasons. The children. People stay together for their children all the time. Financial stability. We know in our economy, it is nearly impossible or very difficult to live on one income. Okay? And people stay together they don't want to be embarrassed, especially when we say, quote unquote, church folks, because nobody going to judge you like a Christian. We the worst.
Oh gosh.
That's a whole nother radio show right there.
Yes, listen,
it is. Don't nobody judge you. No, Jesus don't even judge you as hard as Christians judge us.
Yes.
So I think that you have to look at, I ask people to look at one thing. One, what are your goals for this relationship? If your goals for this relationship are to raise the children and then, go about your business, okay, those goals have to be discussed. Because if you don't want to be selfish to the children and split a home up, those have to be discussed. But it comes back to what I said, Twyla. Somebody got to talk.
That's right.
If I'm miserable and you don't know that I'm miserable, that's a problem.
A big problem.
You understand?
Yeah.
That's a big problem. Do you know how many men do not know that their wives are miserable? They don't have a clue. Their wives are one foot out the door and another one on the banana peel ready to pack up the moving truck. And the man don't have a clue because he's not in tune.
That's right.
He doesn't have a clue. He's missing all the signs, the flags. And in my opinion, when I talk to women, I say, women, I know you want to believe that men can see the flags and the signs. We don't. We don't see them.
Wow.
We miss them. We don't see what you want us to see. You have to sit men down and tell them, listen, I've been frustrated with our sex life for the last 3 years. he's going to be shocked because he think he's been doing this thing. He gonna
Kenton,
be,
come on
like,
here.
What? He going to be shocked because he had no idea that you were not satisfied sexually. And I just use that as an example because I saw that on an Instagram post today on, the question was, if the sex ain't good, is it a deal breaker? You know how many people, like 10,000 comments, I say 60% said yes.
Yeah, wow. I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised.
Deal breakers. You know, so I do not recommend staying in a toxic relationship. But if you want to leave because you don't think he look good no more or she don't look good no more, that's not a justified reason to leave. She gained 30 pounds and had 3 of your kids. What you mad for? Well, now you want her to look like an Instagram model, but you laid her up in the hospital 3 times. She had 3 C-sections. You plan on paying for surgery? What you mad for? No, her skin don't bounce back. Why you upset? You've been cooking him fried chicken, cheeseburgers, and hot dogs and steaks for 10 years, and you know he drank a case of beer every night, and he gained 30 pounds. You mad he don't got a six-pack, and you want to leave now because you found somebody on the job who's cute. Wow. No, that ain't no reason to leave.
No.
It's one thing if you getting beat up every night and cuss out every night or cheat the dog out, but a lot of people who are getting separated, in my opinion, their reasons aren't justified.
Wow.
They're not justified.
Wow.
You know.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good, Kenton, what you're saying, because I know in my situation, like I mentioned earlier, at year 5, I really wanted to end the marriage. I wanted to walk away from that thing, but I did. I still loved him, but I was not in love with him. I loved him, but not in love, and that's 2 different things. And so I stayed, and I wrestled with that thing another 5 years, and for several reasons. One were kids and other reasons involved, but I just really... I just really knew in my spirit that was not the man that God had for me. He wasn't the right one. We weren't the right fit. It just happened. And I've shared earlier in the show about how it happened. I was married to the man 10 months from the date that I met him. We didn't even know each other. And I think a lot of times right now, especially in these days and times, people move so fast. And I'm not saying there's a time frame for any of it. If you feel it's right, so be it. Get married in 90 days. Whatever feels right for you. I'm not judging on that level. But a lot of people do move so fast, meaning they don't get to know who the person is. You really should see that person in all 4 seasons. Like, how do they handle money? How do they handle issues that arise? What's their relationship with their family members? Are you looking for a man or a woman that has a great relationship with their family but they don't want to show up to any family functions? That may be a problem. You know. But all the things you are mentioning, which are phenomenal, are great reasons. But you know what, Twyla? All those things that you are mentioning have come from your experiences and your knowledge and your past in life, so you have the information now. Right. So if you ever decide to get married again, I believe it would be a successful marriage. But you have to think about how many people are getting married with no information. The only blueprint they have are possibly their parents or what they see in social media or what they've heard or what they've read. The old school method of truly getting information or getting good counsel, and I always say good counsel because there's a lot of bad counsel out there. I taught a lesson that said, if your pastor or overseer or leader, is only giving you a 2-day or a week worth for counsel before marriage, I believe it's going to be difficult to be successful because I think it takes more time than that for you to actually learn somebody, So information is power, which is an old school saying, but so many people go into marriage for financial reasons, for children, for lust, for a house, for a car, for a career.
they go into marriage for all of the wrong reasons. And you and I both know, 'cause I've been married 14 going on 15 years, and you and I both know it takes about 5 years for all the dust to settle.
Yes, it does.
And when all the dust settles, and you be like, I don't even really know this person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You look up and you say, I didn't, you know, you be like, cause you all in love, you all excited, and then around year 5, one day you come home, you be like, I never noticed he didn't put his underwear in the clothes hamper. He nasty. He been doing that since y'all been dating, but you've been in love, and you ain't seen his nasty drawers on the floor. And then, and you get married all of a sudden, you say, you know what? You know, she always wearing them little bloomers. Why don't she put on some sexy clothes from Victoria's Secret? She been wearing them bloomers since y'all been dating. You just was in love. You ain't noticed them bloomers. Now all of a sudden it's a problem.
Yeah. Kenton, let me ask you this. And I know this happens a lot, and why marriages end and they dissolve. So, what do you think about infidelity in marriages, and people that move on after infidelity occurs in the marriage? And I mean, I suspected that was going on in my marriage, but I could not prove it. But I do know several people that this happened to them. So what is your take on that? And I know in the counseling field, and you as a minister and a man of God, you've probably had to minister or counsel several people that this has happened to. So share a little bit about that.
Well, my philosophy on infidelity, from a pastor standpoint, a leadership standpoint, is if a man were to come in and to say, listen, Pastor K, I have cheated on my wife, the first thing I'm going to say is, have you stopped cheating on your wife? Or do you plan on stopping? Based upon what he says or she says will be what my next question will be. Now, if they say it was a terrible mistake, I don't believe I'll ever do it again, and then my next question is going to be, does your spouse know? Or is she suspecting of you cheating? If they say, I don't think my spouse has a clue. Now, this is my opinion here, Twyla.
Okay.
I would tell that man, don't ever do it again, and if she finds out, tell her the truth. If she never finds out, die with it.
Wow.
Now, that's what I would say. It would be the same thing if a woman came in. Because I don't believe, let me ask you this, Twyla. I'm going to throw this back at you.
Okay.
What would it benefit if I had that man tell that woman that your husband is cheating? What would it benefit? What life would it bring? It would destroy possibly a marriage.
Yeah, because the trust, if the person finds out that one time, some people can't deal with that. Kenton,
I understand. Now, but what I would suggest is that I would have that man or that woman go into counsel.
Yeah.
To make sure, because you have to find out why. Now, and I know your show is not forever, so I'm gonna keep this short. Most men, in my experience, cheat out of just cheating. They ain't emotionally involved. They just, for lack of terms, to be plain, they were just getting some booty on the side. That's why they cheated. Most women who cheat, they have invested emotionally on some level. Because women just, and typically speaking, just don't lay down with another man if they ain't married.
Okay.
You know, so if a woman typically cheats, she has been uninterested in her man for a long time. Because she has been willing to open herself up to another person. So it didn't happen overnight. A man will go out and get drunk and sleep with somebody, not that it's an excuse, and won't think twice about it, and it'll be the worst decision he ever made. He'll probably never cheat the rest of his life. You know,
Yeah.
but to answer your question, what I think about infidelity is, obviously, is it wrong? Yes. Is it grounds for divorce? Spiritually speaking, yes.
Yes.
Because the covenant has been broken.
That's right.
Can the relationship be restored? Yes.
Yes.
But we have to find out, why did he or she cheat? We have to find out what is happening that you felt the need to leave your bedroom. It's always a why.
Exactly. I agree. Well, Kenton, we have a question, or actually a
Sure.
comment. Someone says the wife she deserves to know. And I will have to agree with that. I believe that is true. The wife deserves to know, and it will be based on the information she finds out or the husband communicates to her, whether or not she stays or goes. So you mentioned earlier that if it happened one time, then die with it. Well, you know what? What if it would happen again and the wife finds out and she finds out that it happened multiple times?
I'm gonna be
and then the marriage is going to probably end anyway, because at that point she doesn't trust the fact at all, anything that he tells her, right? And so
I can understand that.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to debate that person's question. But let me just say this: in many years of counseling, I've never counseled a couple where somebody was cheating and the other person didn't know.
Okay.
Never.
So basically, you're saying there's always signs. There's signs there.
I'd say 99.9% of the time, the wife already knows, or she has suspicion, or the man already knows and he has suspicion. But when I say in a perfect world, or an ideal counseling session, if the wife didn't know or doesn't suspect, I as a pastor am not going to go destroy a marriage.
Okay.
Now, what I would do is I would suggest to that man or to that woman that they seek counsel, and during counsel, if that comes out or if that's dealt with or needs to be addressed, then it would be addressed. But I'm not going to say, well, you need to go home and tell your wife that you cheated. That man might get killed.
Yeah, possibly, or vice versa. It could be the other end. It could be the wife. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to look at it from the perspective of a spiritual or a leadership perspective,
right,
where I'm not going to knowingly put somebody in harm's way. I am going to suggest counsel. I'm going to suggest both of them to come in for counsel along with me and my wife.
Right.
And we handle it like that.
That's
you
good.
know. So to that young lady's question, or I'm assuming that that's a young lady, I do agree. You do deserve to know. And most women, you already know. You might not want to accept it. You already found the text, the email, the DM. You didn't hire the private investigator. You didn't found stuff on Facebook. You didn't seen the pictures. You know he liked it. You already know. Don't ever doubt what's in your heart.
That's right.
No.
Yeah. I know with me, as we're talking about this, and we're going to wrap up here in a minute, I had suspicions as well and had read something. Back then, Facebook was so the first thing. It was priority. Not Instagram as much. So, yeah, I had saw something that raised my antennas, and and guess what? My ex-husband ended up going on to marry this woman. Didn't last, but yes, the same woman that I saw DM messages years ago, he married her. So, You're right. You're absolutely right.
And what I say to that, Twyla, and you can go ahead and close out, is if you are married, it's okay. I'm not saying be snooping and all that type of stuff, but don't be afraid to confront something that makes you uncomfortable.
You have
to confront the situation. Confront it.
That's right.
Confront the situation, you know. Be smart about it. Be respectful about it, because you could be dead wrong. Keep that in mind now.
That's right.
If I'm out having coffee with one of my coworkers with a woman, and 10 people send a picture to my wife, my wife is going to text them back and be like, I'm sure he know her, she a friend or something like that, because she know me. Make sure you write, because I'll tell you this one thing and I'm done. Because if, as a woman, if you accuse a man of something and you wrong, it takes him a long time to get over it.
Wow. Oh, that's good. Say it again, Kenton. Come on, say that again.
If you accuse a man of something and you wrong, it takes him a long time to get over it.
Wow, wow, wow. Y'all, that's good. That's some powerful, powerful stuff. Oh, my gosh. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we had Coach Twyla Q&A earlier, but I brought my friend on, Pastor Kenton D. Wiley, to talk about, this wasn't a show about infidelity, so don't get me wrong, but I wanted him to come on because he's a man of God. He's a pastor of NEC, Never Alone Christian Center there in Maryland. It's a virtual ministry, but I wanted him to come on and talk about to couples that he has counseled, or basically topics that he has counseled as it relates to couples and marriages, because this is Divorce Talk with Twyla, but I definitely want to encourage those that are maybe in the space of going through challenging times in their marriage. Divorce is not always the result, right? They can reconcile, or people can reconcile. So thanks so much, Pastor Kenton D. Wiley, a.k.a. Pastor K, my friend. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for listening today. I hope this conversation helped you on tonight. And my pop-up special guest, Pastor Kenton D. Wiley, shared some information. If you are in the space of marriage and you're on the fence, contemplating divorce, should you stay, should you go, there was infidelity or whatever, I hope he shed some light. And also, if you are in the space of divorce recovery, please go to my website, www.twylamarks.com. Book a consultation call with me. Pick your package that best fits you. I am a divorce recovery coach. I would love to help you get your happy back. This is Coach Twyla, the Get Your Happy Back Divorce Coach. Tune in next week for another live show of Divorce Talk with Twyla. My special guest is the one and only Miss Arthur Chi. She is a life after divorce coach, and we will discuss unhealthy relationship patterns. You don't want to miss that. Unhealthy relationship patterns. So, until next week, we are out.